So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we've been through the first month of classes, and inshallah ta'ala we'll quickly go through the topics we started with. So we started identifying what fiqh was and the importance of fiqh, and then the 10 starting points you need to know when starting any of the sciences of Islam. And then we read the author's introduction, Muqaddimah, and then we started with Kitab al-Tahara, the book of Tahara. In Kitab al-Tahara, we said that there are many things we're going to talk about. The first part of Kitab al-Tahara we took, which is the rulings of water. The rulings of water. So, the rulings of water are that there are certain types of water in fiqh. Some of them we can use for tahara and others we can't. When can we use certain types of water? When can't we? There was many details that we took and many that we were not able to get into, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, if there's any questions regarding what we started with, we can take them now, inshallah ta'ala. Any questions when we were revising the weekend, inshallah. If not, we can start with the next section, inshallah ta'ala. So is there any questions regarding last dars that we have from either side? Yes.
I don't know if I understood it right, like washing a field.
Yes.
That water is pure. Like as in, if you touch it, it's not registered.
Washing filth,
Yeah.
the water is pure?
It's, as in,
Okay, if there is filth and you have water that is tahur, that cleans, okay, then what is the ruling of this water itself after you wash it? Depends, okay? I think I answered one of the brothers on WhatsApp on this question. If the water is affected by filth, okay, so the water changes color because of the filth, then what's the ruling? The water is impure, yeah? It's najis. But if it doesn't change at all, nor does it gain weight, nothing happens to the water. It looks the same as it was before you cleaned filth with it, and the filth also disappears, then the water is tahir. You are able to drink it, to put it on your clothes, but you're not able to make tahara with it again. So if you use water for tahara, and it's not more than 2 qullas, then you can't reuse it. If you use water for tahara and it's not more than 2 qullas, so not more than 216 liters, then you can't reuse that water in tahara again. But that water is not najis, it's not impure unless it physically changes or it changes in weight. So for example, the water was 5 grams of water you had, and then it turned into 10 grams. Okay, then that is a significant difference, and we can consider the water as impure. Okay. There's one more ruling that I wanted to mention before we go on to the next section that has something to do with the section we mentioned before. So, in the previous class, we took that water is 3 types. Purifying, tahur, so it's pure and it also purifies other things. Tahir, so it's pure but does not purify. For example, you use this water in tahara, you can't use it again. Or this water, for example, had something added to it that changed its name. For example, the water is no longer known as water, it's tea, for example. We put Dibagh in it, it turns into tea. We can't use this for tahara. And then the last one is impure. Now, we said if something is mixed with purifying water, it turns into pure and it's no longer purifying. Yes or no? This is what we said. There are some exceptions to this. This is not the case always. Sometimes it's an exception. The scholars in their books mention many different cases where it doesn't matter even if the water changes. Why? Because it is too hard to stop it from changing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not make it compulsory for us to do things that are out of our ability to deal with. So if you have purifying water that's on its natural state, and what happens to the water is that dirt is mixed with the water. Someone mixes dirt with that water, it's still considered to be purifying. doesn't change in its ruling because dirt is one of the two things that we use in tahara. We can make tahara with water and also with dirt. So when you mix dirt with water, it doesn't matter. Even if the water changes, it's okay. You can still use that water for tahara. Okay. Another thing is sea salt. So sea salt is originally from the water. If you take it out of the water and put it into a different type of water, it doesn't affect the ruling of that water. So sea salt also does not affect the water. Another thing is whatever exists in the natural area or space of that water. For example, you have a pond. In that pond, there are things that grow inside the water, seaweed, things like that. Okay? These things do not affect the water because they are naturally with the water. The water was there and they were naturally became with it. Also, whatever exists in the path that the water flows through. For example, the water is gushing down a certain pipe, or they cut a hole in the ground, they dug a hole in the ground so the water can go through. And there's some things in that on the way of the water that affect it. That also does not affect the ruling of the water. And one of the things also are things that are hard to keep away from the water. Things that are very hard to keep away from the water. You're going to be all day cleaning the water out if you were to keep them away, like seaweed. These things also do not affect the water. There's many other things, but these are some of the examples of fiqh that don't affect water. After that, inshallah ta'ala, we'll go to the next section, which is rulings regarding bones and tanning. So, inshallah ta'ala, I'll read the Arabic and I'll ask someone to read the English, inshallah ta'ala. قال المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى: فصل وجلود الميتة تطهر بالدباغ إلا جلد الكلب والخنزير وما تولد منهما أو من أحدهما وعظم الميتة وشعرها نجس إلا الآدمي. Anyone happy to read, inshallah?
Hides of unslaughtered animals are purified through tanning, except for the hides of dogs, pigs, and the offspring of both of them or one of them, with a pure animal. The bones and hair of unslaughtered animals are filth, except from human beings. Okay, and inshallah we'll read the next section also. So he said, فصل ولا يجوز استعمال أواني الذهب والفضة ويجوز استعمال غيرهما من الأواني. It is permissible to use gold or silver containers, aniya. It is impermissible to use gold or silver containers, aniya. It is permissible to use the containers made from other expensive materials. Okay, let's explain the first section and the second one, inshallah ta'ala. So the first thing that the author talks about after talking about water. Water is what you make wudu or tahara with, okay? Is that he wanted to talk about what you hold water in, what you carry water in. So in the old days, we know that most water used in the desert used to be carried in skin. They would tan the skin and make a kind of like bottle from the skin, and that would keep the water cool. So if you're traveling on the back of a camel and you've got this water with you, you drink it. It's like a fresh drink. Yeah. So because they used to use these things to hold water in, he started to mention their rulings. So he's going to mention the rulings of different skins out there, and then also the rulings of different containers after that. That's why he did this. Okay? So that's the reason that they mentioned the rulings of containers and of skin after the ruling of water itself. Now we mentioned, just out of revision, we mentioned that there are 4 things you do tahara with. 4 things: water, dirt, and there's 2 more things. What are they? Stones in istinja. Cleaning yourself from the bathroom, you can use a stone or anything that is dry and cleans. And what's the 4th thing? Tools that tan, yes? So tanning is also a type of tahara. That's why it's mentioned here. So this is the rulings of tanning in fiqh. Okay? Good. So now, before we start to read what the author said, it's very important to understand what is tanning and how does tanning work in Islam. When the fuqaha say that tanning purifies something, what does that mean? Basically, the scholars say that tanning is to get the skin of a dead animal that
is not slaughtered the proper way. If you were to slaughter an animal the proper way, okay, say Bismillah, then the skin of the animal would be pure. It would not be impure anymore. It would not be impure. But if you did not slaughter the animal, it died by itself, or someone slaughtered it in a way other than the Shar'i way, okay, then this animal is considered Maytah. It's a dead animal. It's impure. This is what we are studying here. The impure animals, how to turn the skin back to something that is pure again. They say that you have to get this skin that's impure, and you need to get something that, they say, lada, something that stings, something that has severe acidity in it, or something that stings. For example, the scholars will say the skin of pomegranate is something that they used to use to tan. It has some type of acid in it that cleans dead skin. They would get it and they would rub the skin with it until all the filth comes out of the skin. The fat, the smell, the juices, these kind of things come out of the skin. Once they do that, they leave it in the sun, and what happens? The skin becomes pure. If you were to put it back into water again, it wouldn't smell. So what does making skin pure mean? It means that you clean it to the extent that if you were to put it back into water again, it would not smell. It wouldn't come out smelling anytime soon. Okay? Now, what are the skins we can do this with? What are the skins we can do this with? What skins can we tan in Islam? Anyone know?
Every skin but the dog or
Hmm?
anything but the dog or pig.
Okay, so any skin other than dog skin and pig skin can become pure by tanning, according to Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala. Anything other than the skin of a dog and a pig, as we studied from before, that dogs and pigs are major impurity. They don't get to become pure ever in their life, no matter what they do. Okay? Okay. Okay. So we mentioned that the animals that are pure in their life can become pure after tanning. In the Shafi'i Fiqh, this also means that every single animal in its life is pure. If you were to ride on a donkey, for example, and the donkey got wet, does that mean it's najis? It's not najis. Why? Every animal while it's alive is pure, other than dogs and pigs. Every animal, even if it's a fly, a bug, a cat, any type of animal you have is pure, other than dogs and pigs. They are impure while they are alive and also after death. So what is a Maytah? A Maytah, we said, is a dead, impure animal. Meaning, anything that is not killed the proper way. Anything that is not killed the proper way. So an animal that could have been halal but it was not killed the proper way is Maytah. You can't eat it, for example. Or an animal that died and is not to be eaten anyway. So it's not edible. Even if you said Bismillah and killed it, it's not an animal that can become halal by saying Bismillah. That is also Maytah. So two things. An animal that could become halal if you said Bismillah, it's not Bismillah, but if you killed it according to the conditions. Or an animal that cannot be eaten at all, even if you kill it Bismillah or you don't, it's always Maytah if it dies. Okay, now, what is the ruling, a question, of something that is separated from the body of an alive animal while it's alive? There's a very famous hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says, مَا أُبِينَ مِنْ حَيٍّ فَهُوَ كَمَيْتَةٍ. Whatever is removed from an alive animal has the ruling of that animal if it was dead. مَا أُبِينَ مِنْ حَيٍّ فَهُوَ كَمَيْتَةٍ. Whatever is removed from an animal while it's alive, that part of the animal that's removed has the same ruling of that animal if it was to be dead. For example, we study that human beings are pure whether they're alive or dead. So if you were to cut a part of a human being off, that would be pure. It would not be impure, for example. We believe that sheep, if they were alive, what is their ruling? They're pure. If they're dead and not killed Bismillah in the proper way, they are impure. So if someone cut the leg of a sheep off while it was alive and said, I want to have a leg of a lamb, would that be possible? Is that Bismillah and cut it off? No. Why? Because it takes the same ruling as a dead animal. Okay? Alright. Now, what about the hair and wool of animals? What about the hair and wool of animals? So we know that we have many things created from wool and hair and other things. What is the ruling of hair and wool? Is it all najis, or is there any details? So, the hair of an animal that can be consumed, can be eaten, like sheep, cattle, these kinds of animals, is pure if it's removed while it's alive. So if the animal is edible, then the hair of the animal is pure while when it's removed, even if it was removed while it's alive. The hair of that animal. But it is impure if removed after the death of the animal. So, if a sheep, for example, passes away and then they decide to shave its hair and make some wool out of it, it would be najis. You couldn't wear that while you pray, for example. Okay. The nails and bones are all najis once removed from the animal, unless the animal has been slaughtered. So nails and bones of animal are always najis unless it's been slaughtered first, and then we take the bones and use them. For example, if someone slaughters an animal, takes the bones and makes broth from them, it's tahir, it's pure. Why? Because these bones were only taken out from the animal after it was slaughtered. Bismillah, or according to the conditions of slaughtering in the madhab. Now, this means, and this question was asked in the group, that the hair of cats and other animals, if they fall off, would be impure. Would be impure if they fall off while it's alive, because cat is not an animal that you can eat. The cat is not an animal that you can consume and eat. But some scholars in the Shafi'i madhab, like Ibn Hajar al-Haytami, mentioned that it seems like Imam Shafi'i may have changed his opinion before he passed away. So some later scholars of the Shafi'i madhab would make fatwa to say that the animal, if it's pure while it's alive, then the hair that falls off is also tahir. That's an opinion that does exist, even though the famous opinion and the more dominant opinion is that it is najis. Okay. What about containers? So we finished talking about skins. What about containers? So once the author mentioned the rulings of skins, then he is mentioning the rulings of containers, which are what you immediately make wudu from, or ghusl from. You have water in a container, you make wudu from that. And so the first thing the scholars mention in this bab is that it is permissible to make wudu from any container. From any container, even if it is an expensive container. If it's made from pearls and all these expensive material, it is permissible. It's not haram. Although it could be disliked if that container is from a very, very expensive metal and it's considered wasting money. But it is not haram to use any container other than containers that are created from both gold or silver. Okay. Wearing gold and silver is extremely prohibited for men. They can't wear gold and silver, nor can they use any containers that are made from gold and silver, nor can they put them in their house. And the only exception are a few things that were mentioned in the hadith. One of them is to wear a ring made from silver, and some scholars also say teeth from gold and other small details that are mentioned, but generally you cannot have any gold or silver if you're a man. If you're a lady, you're allowed to have gold and silver in jewelry, but you can't drink and you can't use cups and bowls that are made from gold and silver. Now, some scholars also believe that using gold and silver could reach the level of being a major sin in Islam. A major sin, like Al-Imam al-Balqini, but the majority of scholars say it's not a major sin, it's a minor sin, but it's something that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in a hadith, and he said, whoever drinks from a bowl from gold or silver is like someone who will be drinking from that bowl in Nari Jahannam, or will be drinking from the fire of hell. Okay. So gold and silver utensils are haram. To keep plates of gold and silver just as a decoration in the house is also haram. According to the strongest opinion in the Shafi'i madhab, and there are some other opinions that some scholars do allow, although this is the most dominant opinion. What about eating gold? Can we eat gold and silver? If it's so severe, we're not allowed to use it, we can't have it in the house. Are we allowed to eat gold and silver? Any answers? If you think we can, put your hand up. No one? Okay. We are a small amount? No. Other family think so? Okay. So actually, this ruling, most scholars don't mention. Okay. I've only seen it in one book in the Shafi'i madhab. Okay. And the ruling basically, so it's not to be studied in a book like this, but just to change the seriousness of the dars. It's not haram unless it is extremely expensive, unless it's considered wasting money. If it's a tiny bit of gold, if it doesn't take much, doesn't cost much, then inshallah it is not haram. You're not wearing it, you're not using it, you're just consuming it and eating it, inshallah ta'ala, would not be considered haram. Okay. The last thing the scholars mention in this, in the book of gold and silver, is a dabba. Dabba means that if you had a container from gold and silver, from other than gold and silver, but it was broken, it had a chip in it, it had a crack in it, okay? And you wanted to fill that crack with gold or silver, okay? What is the ruling? What is the ruling? If you were to fill the cracks of your bowl from gold and silver, can you use it? So, first of all, if the amount of gold and silver used to fill the crack is so tiny that once you melt it, once you put it into fire, nothing comes out. It will just disappear. There's no amount that you can take away from the bowl, then it's permissible, inshallah. Okay? But if there's an amount that can be taken from the bowl of gold and silver, what's the ruling? If it's from gold, it's haram. You're not allowed to fill in the cracks of bowls with gold. Okay? But if it's from silver, it depends. If it is a large amount of silver, it's a large amount of silver, and the silver was only used for the bowl to look beautiful. Okay, it was used for beauty, with the intention like to show off or for the bowl to be beautiful, then it would be haram. It would be haram. But if it's a small amount, and it was used for the necessity, or it was needed, there was some type of need for it, not just to show off, then it's permissible and not haram. If it's a small amount for the reason of beauty, it's disliked, or if it's a big amount for the need of it, for necessity, it is also disliked. So silver's not haram unless it's a big amount used for showing off or for beauty. And that's everything regarding containers in fiqh, inshallah ta'ala. Any quick questions before we go into the next bab, inshallah?
The rules that you have mentioned, they are all relating to gold and silver in their pure form, right? You're not talking about, like for men, for example, if they wear a ring with gold, but it's an alloy, it's mixed with other metals. Is that permissible?
Okay, so if gold and silver mixed with other metals, no. Like white gold, for example?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. If there's an amount of gold in that is considerable amount, it is haram also. It's also haram.
So the considerable amount means it's like more than half, right?
So out of what I know, white gold is haram. because it's made from gold mixed with other metals. Out of what I understand, the white gold is haram, inshallah. I don't think any other metals are mixed with gold other than white gold, inshallah. Inshallah. Brother?
Yeah, it's a similar question.
Ah.
So is it like when we say gold and silver, do we mean specifically the metal silver, or is it like anything that looks like silver?
No, this is the metals.
Silver. So same thing with gold, anything like specifically
Gold,
gold.
yes.
So,
Specific gold.
so not anything that looks like.
No.
Steph, when we asked the question on the book of gold plating, sort of, it was said it was not. However, if you melt it and there's nothing, does that sort of fit there, or is it still?
If it says the amount that if it's melted it's nothing, it's going to be a very tiny amount.
Yeah.
I don't think that amount would work in any. You would need more than that probably to, as a filling or anything or plating. You would need more than that. No. Okay. There's a question in the group. It says, what about recycled water? Which category does it fall into? As we said in the last dars, there was a question about this recycled water. If there is a lot of water, kathir, a lot of water, hundreds of liters, and it was all najis, and then it was filtered and it turned back into purity, it would become pure again, and it would be purifying, it would be tahur. Inshallah ta'ala. Question, even mice and rats? Yes, mice and rats are pure when they are alive, but once they pass away, they would be impure, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, after that, the scholars mention the rulings of siwak or miswak. Does anyone want to read, inshallah? I don't have the Arabic with me right now, so maybe Brother Hassan, can you read the Arabic, inshallah, and then.
فصل والسواك مستحب في كل حال إلا بعد الزوال للصائم وهو في 3 مواضع أشد استحبابا عند تغير الفم من أزم أو غيره وعند القيام من النوم وعند القيام إلى الصلاة.
Using the toothstick miswak is recommended at all times except after the zenith for one who is fasting. Using the toothstick is more strongly recommended in 3 situations. Number 1, when the taste of the mouth becomes stale as a result of not eating or something else. Number 2, when getting up after sleeping. And number 3, right before praying.
Okay, the rulings of miswak. So what is a miswak or a siwak? Okay, what is it? What's your understanding actually before we have the answer there? What is your understanding of a miswak? Anyone have the answer?
It's not like the actual.
So that everyone thinks the actual, that thing that's on the screen there, yeah? That's what we understand. That is a part of miswak. But that's not everything, okay? That's not everything. There's so many miswaks. So what's the definition of a miswak? Which is pretty interesting actually, especially according to Imam Shafi'i. So according to Imam Shafi'i, it's the tool that is used to clean your teeth. The tool that is used to clean your teeth is a miswak. It could be from an olive tree. It could be from al-arak, which is the famous tree that we know. It could be from any tree as long as the tree is not harmful. As long as it's not a harmful tree, for example. Also, it could be from something other than trees. So, toothbrush, yes. Toothbrush is considered a miswak also. You get the reward of using a miswak if you have the intention, inshallah. If you use a toothbrush, you get the reward of using the miswak, inshallah ta'ala. Although using the arak tree, the famous tree that we use, is better. It is better. But there's still a reward using it. So, what are the definitions? What are the conditions for something to be considered a miswak? Number 1, it must be stiff enough to clean. Okay, if something is wobbly and doesn't do anything, doesn't serve the purpose, it's not a miswak. It must physically clean your teeth. Clean your teeth. So it takes the dirtiness off your teeth, removes them. And the third thing, of course, that's not here, is that it must be pure. It can't be impure. It cannot be impure. If something is impure, you can't use it as a miswak, for example. Okay, for example, handkerchief, toothbrush, piece of wood, these could all be used as a miswak, and you get the reward of using a miswak. Now, miswak is ranks, okay? There's ranks. So, the best miswak is what? Al-Arak. That's the tree the Prophet ﷺ used to use. The name of the tree is Al-Arak. It's that white thing that we see. Okay, that's the best tree. The second best is a palm tree. And the third is olive trees, an olive tree. So olive tree would be a skinny little green stick that you use for miswak. And in Medina and some places they still sell them till now. And the fourth would be a tree that has a pleasant scent, pleasant smell. And then the fifth would be any other wood or any fabric other than trees. Any fabric other than trees, like, for example, a handkerchief, toothbrush, these will all be the fifth category. Inshallah ta'ala. As long as it's not harmful and as long as it's not your own finger. Okay, if you have your own finger, you can't use it as a miswak. Yeah, your own finger. Someone else's finger, maybe, but your own finger, no. Okay? Okay. What is the best state of a miswak? There's also five ranks of that miswak itself. The best miswak is a miswak that is stiff but softened with water. So it's dry, but you soften it with water. That's the best miswak. The second is a miswak that is dry and softened by rose water. The third is a miswak that is softened by your own saliva, by your mouth. The fourth is a dry miswak. And the fifth is a miswak that is not dry. It's still soft, it hasn't dried yet. So we have 5 ranks of physical miswaks and then 5 states of the miswak itself. 5 times 5 is 25. So there's 25 levels of miswak. The best would be arak, that is dry and softened by water. That would be the best miswak to ever use. And then there's another 45 types that you can, inshallah, when you're free, you can write them down one by one if you want, inshallah. Okay. Miswak is sunnah. What's the ruling of the miswak? Miswak is sunnah all the time, all the time. There's no state where the miswak is not sunnah. Okay? Other than after zawal, after zenith, when you are fasting. After zawal, when you are fasting in Ramadan. So in Ramadan, you can use miswak in the morning until dhuhr time. Okay? After dhuhr, you don't use the miswak. Why? There's many narrations and a hadith that talk about not using the miswak. There's some narrations talk about not using the miswak after dhuhr. Another famous hadith is a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ says that the smell of the mouth of someone fasting is more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the scent of misk. Now there's a huge debate between the scholars on this hadith. So some scholars believe that no, it's fine. You use the miswak any time and you don't intend to bring out the smell. Imam Shafi'i, usually in his madhab, his approach to these things is that you leave the effect of the ibadah the way it is. You leave the effect of the ibadah on your body the way it is, and you don't try to remove it. So once you make wudu, what do? Do you dry your hands? It's better not to dry your hands. We all dry our hands usually, yeah, because especially in winter. But it's better not to dry your hands. Why? Because you leave the effect of your wudu on yourself. You don't remove it. Prophet ﷺ, you know, when he was praying in Ramadan, Laylatul Qadr, and it was dirty, he made sujood and there was mud on his head, and he left it for a while on his head, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah. So you leave the effect of the ibadah on yourself. You don't remove it. You don't remove it. That is more beloved. When it's raining, even the barakah, let rain come onto your body and make dua. These things are. There's so many proofs according to Imam Shafi'i. His view is that there's a lot of proofs generally in the Sharia that say it's better to leave these things and not remove them. So that's why he believes that once midday hits Ramadan, khalas. That's when your body starts to get hungry and there's more, your body starts to feel the fasting. Khalas, leave it the way it is. Okay. In some cases, it's not only sunnah mustahab, it's more than sunnah. It becomes an extreme sunnah. So they say sunnah muakkadah. We have sunnah and sunnah muakkadah, a sunnah that has extra reward. Miswak is a ruling that has both. It's sunnah to use it all the time, and then in some cases it's sunnah muakkadah. When is it sunnah muakkadah? The author mentioned 3 times. Okay? There's more than 3, there's more than 5, there's so many. Big books of fiqh might mention up to 30 cases. Up to 30 cases. Some of them are before salah, of course. Before salah, use the miswak. Number 2, while making wudu. While making wudu, we're going to take that into wudu. Some scholars say before wudu, when you do your hands, you do use a miswak. And then others say while you wash your hands and mouth, your nose and mouth, as a part of the actual wudu, not before wudu. There's 2 opinions in the Shafi'i method, and they're both permissible to take from. After eating, once you eat, you should clean your teeth. Yeah, brush your teeth after food, don't leave it. Even if you use a toothbrush after food, for example, yeah, khalas. Intend to do the sunnah of miswak while you brush your teeth. When you wake up from sleep, you should have miswak next to your bed, or even brush your teeth after you get up. That's sunnah as well. When your mouth smell changes, same thing. Reading Quran, if you're going to read Quran, make sure your mouth smells well, smells good. Use the miswak and clean your teeth before reading the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's better to use miswak with your right hand and to start from the right side of your mouth. So the right hand, starting from the right side of your mouth is better. If you do it in any other way, it's also sunnah. But this is the best way, and these are all sunnats regarding the miswak. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Inshallah ta'ala. We, inshallah ta'ala, will stop here. And we'll open the door for questions and answers, inshallah ta'ala, both here and Zoom, inshallah ta'ala. And today is the first day we finish on time, alhamdulillah. So, yes?
Can you explain the ruling of hair again? I'm confused. So hair of animals.
Okay, hair of animals. If it's hair of an animal that can be consumed, eaten, sheep, so the wool of sheep and those kind of things, it's pure if it's removed while it's alive. It's okay. If it is hair of an animal that is pure in its life, so not a dog or a pig, but cannot be consumed, there's difference around that. The famous opinion in Shafi'i madhab is that it's impure if it falls off the animal. If it falls off the animal by itself. Okay, if it falls off by itself, then it's impure. But there are some scholars inside the madhab who allowed it, and also other madhabs allow it. So if, for example, you have cats and it's really hard to stay away from that, then you could take this opinion, for example. Yes. Any questions, Zoom? Okay. Is it pure, permissible, to use or wear crocodile leather? So, crocodile leather, is it from a dog or a pig? No, it's not. Is it tanned? Most likely it's tanned in a proper way, there's no more filth in it. Okay, if it's tanned, then it's not, then if it's tanned and there's no water in the process of tanning, there's no water used, then you need to wash it and then you can wear it, inshallah ta'ala. But I don't understand how it's tanned, so I'm just guessing that it's tanned properly, inshallah ta'ala. Another question says, ملابس مصنعة من صوف حيوان حرام أو حلال. So if clothes are created from the wool of an animal, yes, inshallah, it would be halal as long as the animal is something that is halal, so it's from sheep or goat or something like that. How do other madhabs define the with constitutes miswak? So basically the question is what do other madhabs say regarding a miswak? Are you allowed to use other than the famous miswak that we use? There's a difference in other madhabs, but some do allow, like the Shafi'i madhab. There's other madhabs do agree with the Shafi'i madhab also, but it's a difference in between different madhab. What if you're not sure what leather your wallet is made from? What leather your wallet is made from? Well, I would advise to ask about the wallet. If it's from pigskin, then do not use that wallet, of course. If it's from other than pigskin, alhamdulillah, then that's an issue. Assalamu alaikum. Is the mu'tamad ruling regarding hairs that are full of animals, such as cats or horses, that it is only najis in excess? And what is defined as excess? So you're saying if it's a lot. So if you have a cat, for example, and its hair falls off all the time, then the scholars say a little bit of that could be ma'fu'an. It's najis, but it's forgiven. It doesn't affect your salah if there's a little bit of it. But if there's hair everywhere a lot, you cannot pray that, for example. But if there's a little bit, then that is ma'fu'an, it's forgiven inshaAllah ta'ala. So, yes, if there's excess in these things, then it would be considered najis. If not, then inshaAllah ta'ala, as long as it's hard to stay away from, and it's only a little bit, then inshaAllah it will be permissible. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Any other questions? Yes.
You mentioned that clothes made with wool
Yes.
are okay as long as the animal is allowed. It's okay and it's permissible. But you mentioned that the hair which come off the animal while he is alive are not permissible to be used.
We said if the animal is something you can consume after killing, then the hair removed while it's alive is permissible.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
But if the animal is not something that you can eat after it's slaughtered, then the hair would be najis according to the majority.
Okay.
And if it's animal like a dog or a pig, then it would never be pure no matter what. So there's three categories, basically.
Just one thing actually I really want to just give this as a comment basically that you mentioned about the pig skin.
Yes.
I have personally experienced it that one of the shoe I bought, the inner sole of the shoe
Inner soul, yes.
was pig
Yes.
skin because it's very clear that it has 3 marks, hair marks basically. You can easily identify that it's a pig skin because all the sheep or the cows
Don't have hair.
they have skin all over the skin, but the pig has only combination of 3 hair scattered around a pattern, specific pattern. So if you will check online, you will see that how
Yes,
the pig
yes,
skin
yes.
leather looks like.
I've seen a pig skin before.
Yes. So basically, I just saw it, then I returned it. But it's most of the people that what I have met, they were not aware of it. That.
So the major issue is that not to have your foot wet while inside the shoe that has pig skin. If you sweat a lot, then stay away from it. Yeah. If your foot gets wet and touches the pig skin while it's wet, then your foot is going to be najis, and you're going to have to wash it 7 times, one time with dirt. So if not, inshallah, it's not as dangerous.
But in dry form, it can be used.
In dry form, you can't buy it. Yeah, it's najis. Okay, you can't buy it because it's najis. But I'm just saying, if someone had it, for example, then it's not as severe. Now, Allah Ta'ala, a'lam. Inshallah, let's stop here with Allah Ta'ala. And inshallah, next week there's no dars. There's no class next week, inshallah Ta'ala, because of a monthly break, and then we'll start in 2 weeks' time, inshallah. Is there anyone here who lives in the north? Because one brother in the north cannot come. He's asked if someone can take a book for him. So his name is Hisham Mustafa. Inshallah, brother, if you could just take the book, inshallah, with you. And also, there's some brothers who have books here who still haven't collected them. So Salih Sulaiman. Salih and brother Hisham Mustafa, if you're following, please. Your book is with Abdul-Rahman Hamoud, so don't forget it. Salih Sulaiman, Salah ad-Din Ahmed Siddiqi, Maghfira Ahmed, Abdul-Rafa, and Nira. So there's 6 books here that are still remaining. Inshallah Ta'ala, if you are here, collect them. If not, we'll bring them in 2 weeks' time, inshallah Ta'ala. Or you can pick them up from me anytime, inshallah Ta'ala. It's fine also. You pick up from me anytime. So next week we'll leave it for revision and just have a break, and then we'll return next month, inshallah. I think after Eid, the second, like there'll be 2 dars, and then there will be Eid. 2 days after Eid, I don't think anyone's gonna want to come. Yeah. So I think inshallah Ta'ala we'll just take 2 darses next month, not 3, inshallah Ta'ala, and then we'll start the month after that. So next week we'll come for 2 weeks, and then we'll take 2 weeks off, inshallah Ta'ala, because of Eid, and then our normal break, inshallah Ta'ala. So it'll be easier, inshallah Ta'ala, for everyone. And for those who find it hard to come, we'll make it easier, inshallah Ta'ala. Wallahu a'lam. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.